Welcome to EnglishOmy, out of the podcast that helps you speak English naturally, step by step, every day. I'm Omi, your English learning buddy. Let's begin today's journey.
Hello, beautiful English learners, and welcome back to EnglishOmy. I'm your host, Omi, and after 4 decades of teaching English to incredible students like you, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you today. You know, in my 40-plus years in American classrooms, I've seen thousands of students transform from hesitant speakers to confident communicators, and today, we're going to help you join their ranks. Have you ever found yourself in that frustrating moment where you know the English words perfectly in your head, but when it comes time to speak with a native speaker, everything just freezes? Maybe you're ordering coffee and the barista looks at you with confusion, or perhaps you're in an important work meeting and miss a crucial detail because someone spoke too quickly. I see you nodding. We've all been there, my friend. Today's episode is specifically designed for intermediate learners who are ready to bridge that gap between textbook English and real-world communication. We're going to dive deep into authentic stories, practical vocabulary, and most importantly, we're going to practice together. Because here's what I've learned after decades of teaching. English isn't just about grammar rules and vocabulary lists. It's about connection, confidence, and the courage to express your authentic self. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's embark on this journey together. By the end of our time today, you'll have new tools, fresh confidence, and a clearer path to speaking English naturally in any situation. Let me start by sharing a story that perfectly illustrates why real-world English practice is absolutely essential. A few years ago, I had a brilliant student named Daniel, sharp as a tack, perfect grammar scores, could write essays that would make Shakespeare proud. But when he took his first trip to New York City, something unexpected happened. Picture this. Daniel walks into a charming little cafe in Manhattan, feeling confident and excited. He approaches the counter and clearly says, "Can I have a croissant and a coffee, please?" Simple enough, right? But the cashier's face scrunches up in confusion. "Sorry, what was that?" she asks. Daniel repeats himself, enunciating every syllable perfectly, but still, that puzzled expression. Then, something magical happened. Another customer nearby chimed in with a smile. "He means a croissant." Suddenly, the cashier's face lit up with understanding. In that moment, Daniel learned one of the most valuable lessons in language learning. Pronunciation isn't just about being correct. It's about being understood. This experience taught Daniel, and teaches all of us, that there's often a significant gap between classroom English and street English. The croissant Daniel had been pronouncing perfectly according to his textbook wasn't the croissant that real Americans were saying every day in real cafes. This is precisely why listening to authentic English conversations is absolutely crucial for your development. When you hear common phrases used naturally, repeatedly, in their real context, your brain starts to recognize patterns, rhythms, and the authentic melody of English. You begin to understand not just what words mean, but how they feel, how they flow, and how they connect people in genuine communication. Now, let's talk about Emma, another one of my former students whose experience will resonate with many of you. Emma moved from her home country to Canada for an exciting new job opportunity. She spoke English beautifully. Her grammar was impeccable, her vocabulary extensive. But when she arrived in her new workplace, she discovered something that no textbook had prepared her for. People spoke incredibly fast. They used slang expressions she'd never encountered. They interrupted each other mid-sentence, laughed at references she didn't understand, and worst of all, they used idioms that seemed to make no logical sense whatsoever. During her very first important meeting, her manager turned to her and said, "Emma, could you touch base with Mike about the new project?" Emma's mind immediately started racing. Touch base? Should she physically touch something? Was this some kind of Canadian workplace ritual she wasn't aware of? She nodded politely, but inside she was completely lost. Later, through a bit of detective work and some gentle questioning, Emma discovered that touch base simply means check in or have a brief discussion. Such a simple concept, but wrapped in an idiom that had completely mystified her. This experience became Emma's turning point. She realized that mastering English wasn't just about knowing individual words. It was about understanding how native speakers actually use language in their daily lives. She started paying close attention to idioms, expressions, and the casual phrases that peppered every conversation around her. Here's my advice for you. When you encounter a new phrase, don't just memorize its meaning. Listen carefully to how it's used in different contexts. Practice saying it out loud. Use it in your own sentences. The more you engage with these expressions actively, the more natural they'll become in your own speech. Let me paint a picture that I'm sure many of you will find familiar. Imagine you've just arrived at a beautiful hotel after a long journey. You're tired, perhaps a little overwhelmed, and you approach the front desk. The friendly receptionist smiles warmly and asks, "Would you like a wake-up call?" Now, if you're not familiar with this particular phrase, your mind might start spinning. A wake-up call? Are they asking if I need to wake up in life? Are they suggesting I'm not alert enough? What exactly are they offering me? But here's the thing. A wake-up call, in hotel terminology, is simply a service where the hotel staff will call your room at a specific time in the morning to ensure you wake up when you need to. It's a practical, helpful service, but if you don't know the phrase, it can seem completely bewildering. These moments happen constantly in real-life English interactions. They're not big, dramatic misunderstandings. They're small, everyday phrases that can trip us up simply because we haven't encountered them in natural contexts before. This is exactly why I'm so passionate about helping you practice with authentic, real-world scenarios. The more you expose yourself to these common expressions in their natural habitat, the more confident and prepared you'll feel when you encounter them in real life. Let's practice together right now. I want you to repeat after me, focusing not just on the words, but on the rhythm and natural flow. I'd like to order a coffee, please. Now you try. Excellent. Now let's try. Could you repeat that, please? These are simple, polite phrases that will serve you well in countless everyday situations. The key is repetition until they become second nature. Now, I want to share with you the story of David, a brilliant professional who landed his dream job at an international company in London. David had studied English for years, aced every grammar test, and felt completely prepared for his new adventure. But his first day at work taught him something profound about the difference between academic English and workplace English. During his first team meeting, his colleagues spoke with a casual confidence that both impressed and intimidated him. They used expressions he'd never seen in any business textbook. When lunchtime arrived, his friendly coworker Jake casually said, "Hey David, let's grab a bite." David's mind went blank. Grab a bite? Grab what? Bite what? He smiled nervously and said, okay. Then followed Jake to a nearby cafe, still completely puzzled about what was happening. When they arrived and Jake started ordering sandwiches, everything clicked. Grab a bite simply meant get something to eat. This experience became David's wake-up call about the reality of workplace English. He realized that even though he possessed excellent technical language skills, he needed to develop his ear for how people actually communicate in professional settings. So David developed a strategy that transformed his confidence completely. Every morning during his commute, he listened to English podcasts. During lunch breaks, instead of eating alone, he made the effort to join conversations with his coworkers. When he didn't understand something, instead of staying silent, he started asking questions like, "Sorry, what does that mean?" Or, "Could you say that again?" His colleagues were not only happy to explain, they were impressed by his proactive approach to learning. Within weeks, when his manager said, "All right, let's wrap things up," David knew exactly what it meant. Let's finish the meeting. That moment of understanding gave him a confidence boost that carried into every subsequent interaction. Let's transition into one of the most practical areas where strong listening skills become absolutely essential: traveling. Picture yourself stepping off a plane in an English-speaking country for the very first time. Your heart is racing with excitement, but there's also that flutter of nervousness. Will you understand everyone? Will they understand you? Let me tell you about my cousin Sophia's experience arriving in Australia. Sophia was confident in her English abilities, but when she reached the immigration counter, something unexpected happened. The officer asked her a simple, routine question. "Do you have anything to declare?" Sophia's mind immediately started racing. The word declare sounded so official, so serious, almost legal. Her thoughts spiraled. Did I bring something illegal? Am I in trouble? What should I say? The pressure of the moment made her freeze completely. Taking a deep breath, she did something brilliant. She simply said, "I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?" The officer calmly explained, "Are you carrying any food, alcohol, or large amounts of money?" Suddenly, everything made perfect sense. Declare simply meant report or announce. Nothing scary at all. Later, Sophia laughed at herself, realizing that the problem wasn't her English skills. It was simply that she hadn't heard this particular phrase used in real-life context before. This is precisely why authentic listening practice is so incredibly valuable. Let's practice some common travel phrases together. Repeat after me. Where are you traveling from? Now you try. Great. Here's another one. Do you have a return ticket? The more you practice these realistic scenarios, the more prepared and confident you'll feel when you're actually in these situations. Food is universal. We all need to eat, and knowing how to navigate restaurants, cafes, and food service situations is absolutely crucial for confident English communication. Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates how small phrases can make a big difference in your daily interactions. My friend Mark was traveling through the United States and decided to treat himself to a specialty coffee at a busy cafe in Seattle. He confidently approached the counter and ordered a latte. Everything seemed straightforward until the cashier asked, "For here or to go?" Mark hesitated. He'd never heard this exact phrase before. His mind quickly tried to decode it. To go sounded like it might mean take away, so he guessed and said, "To go." Fortunately, he was correct. But in that moment of uncertainty, he felt that familiar flutter of anxiety that comes when you're not completely sure you understand. This experience motivated Mark to pay closer attention to how food service interactions actually happen in real life. He started noticing patterns. In American English, people often say, "Can I get a," instead of the more formal, "I would like." He learned that when cashiers say, "That'll be," they're telling you the total price. These small linguistic details might seem minor, but they make an enormous difference in feeling comfortable and confident in everyday situations. Here's what I want you to practice. Listen to this common cafe interaction and repeat. "What can I get for you?" Now try. "That'll be $5.50. When you listen carefully and repeat these phrases, your brain develops muscle memory for the natural rhythms of English. Speaking becomes less about translating from your native language and more about accessing patterns that feel familiar and comfortable. Small talk. Those seemingly simple, casual conversations that happen everywhere from elevators to coffee shops to workplace break rooms is one of the most underestimated yet powerful tools for improving your English fluency. Let me share Maria's story, which beautifully illustrates why mastering small talk is so important. Maria moved from Spain to an English-speaking city for work. She was academically excellent. Her grammar was perfect, her vocabulary impressive. But she felt terrified about casual conversations with strangers or new colleagues. She thought small talk was less important than mastering complex grammar structures. How wrong she was. During her first week, her colleague John invited her to join a group for lunch. As they sat down, John asked a simple question. "So, how was your weekend?" Maria panicked momentarily. Should she share something personal? Keep it simple? What was the right approach? She decided on a safe response. "It was good. I went to the park with my family." John smiled and followed up. "That sounds nice. What did you do at the park?" In that moment, Maria realized this wasn't an interrogation or a test. It was simply two people connecting through shared experiences. Over the following days, Maria became braver about initiating small talk. She started asking questions like, "How do you like the weather here?" or "What do you enjoy doing in your free time?" She discovered something wonderful. Small talk isn't about having profound conversations. It's about building bridges between people. Here's a crucial insight I want to share with you. Successful small talk often involves giving a brief response and then turning the question back to the other person. For example, "My weekend was great, thanks. What about you?" This simple technique keeps conversations flowing naturally and shows genuine interest in others. Practice this pattern until it becomes automatic. It will transform your social confidence. One of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of mastering English is developing your ability to understand different accents and regional variations. English is a beautifully diverse language, spoken with distinct flavors across Britain, America, Australia, Canada, and countless other regions. Each brings its own rhythm, vocabulary, and pronunciation patterns. I remember visiting New York City a few years ago and getting delightfully lost while exploring the vibrant streets of Manhattan. I needed directions to the subway, so I approached a friendly-looking local and said, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to the subway?" His response came rapid-fire. "Yeah, just go straight ahead, take a left at the lights, and you'll see it on your right." I had to listen very carefully to catch every detail, because he spoke with the quick, efficient pace that's characteristic of New Yorkers. He didn't slow down or over-explain. He simply gave clear, practical directions using casual expressions. When he said, "take a left at the lights," he was using common street language for "turn left at the traffic lights." These kinds of casual, shortened expressions are everywhere in natural English conversation, but they're rarely featured in textbooks. This experience reinforced something I always tell my students: focus not just on individual words, but on how they're delivered. Native speakers often speak quickly and use shorthand expressions that might not appear in formal learning materials. To improve your accent comprehension skills, I recommend exposing yourself to English from various regions. Listen to podcasts from different countries. Watch movies with diverse casts. Engage with YouTube channels hosted by speakers from various backgrounds. This diversity will prepare you for the rich tapestry of English you'll encounter in the real world. Life inevitably presents us with situations where we need to address problems, make complaints, or seek solutions, and being able to communicate effectively in these moments is absolutely crucial for confident English usage. Let me share a personal experience that illustrates the importance of clear, calm communication when things go wrong. During a business trip last year, I checked into my hotel room after a long day of travel, only to discover that the Wi-Fi wasn't working. As someone who needed to prepare for presentations the next morning, this was genuinely problematic. I called the front desk and calmly explained, "Excuse me, the Wi-Fi isn't working in my room. Could you help me with this?" The receptionist responded professionally, "I'm so sorry to hear that. Let me check on that for you right away." Within a few minutes, she called back with an explanation. "The Wi-Fi is temporarily down throughout the building, but our technical team is working on it and expects to have it restored within the hour." What struck me about this interaction was how her polite, apologetic tone immediately diffused any frustration I might have felt. She used phrases like, "I'm sorry to hear that," and "let me check on that for you." Expressions that acknowledge the problem and demonstrate commitment to finding a solution. When you encounter problems while using English, remember these key strategies. Remain calm and explain the issue clearly using phrases like, "I'm having trouble with," or "there's a problem with." If someone is helping you resolve the issue, listen carefully for responses like, "Let me check on that for you," or "I'll have someone take care of it right away." Don't hesitate to ask for clarification if you don't understand something completely. You can always say, "Could you explain that again?" Or, "I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat it?" As we near the end of our journey together today, I want to address something that every English learner faces: building genuine confidence in your communication skills. After 4 decades of teaching, I can tell you with absolute certainty that confidence comes through consistent practice, not perfection. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You didn't wake up one morning and suddenly know how to balance, pedal, and steer simultaneously. You practiced, you wobbled, you might have fallen a few times, but gradually, your muscles developed memory, and your brain learned to coordinate all those complex movements. English fluency develops in exactly the same way. I encourage you to embrace every opportunity to practice, no matter how small. When you're shopping for groceries, try reading product labels aloud in English. When you're cooking dinner, narrate your process. Now I'm chopping the vegetables, adding them to the pan, and seasoning with salt and pepper. These mini practices might seem insignificant, but they're building your comfort with English rhythm and vocabulary. Consider joining online language exchange communities where you can practice with other learners or even native speakers. Many of these platforms are free and incredibly welcoming to learners at all levels. The key is to start conversations about topics you're genuinely passionate about, whether that's sports, cooking, travel, or technology. When you're excited about a subject, words flow more naturally and confidently. Remember to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. Every conversation you have in English, every podcast episode you understand a little better, every time you successfully navigate a real-world situation, these are all victories worthy of recognition. Fluency is not a destination. It's a journey of continuous growth and discovery. Now, my wonderful English learners, let's talk about your concrete next steps. I don't want you to finish this episode feeling inspired but uncertain about how to apply everything we've discussed. Instead, I want to give you a clear, actionable roadmap for continued improvement. First, commit to daily English exposure. This doesn't mean studying for hours. It means integrating English into your existing routines. Listen to English podcasts during your commute. Watch one episode of an English series during lunch. Or spend 10 minutes reading English articles about topics that genuinely interest you. Second, find opportunities for active practice. Join conversation groups in your community, participate in online forums related to your hobbies, or simply practice speaking to yourself while doing daily activities. The goal is to make English usage feel normal and natural, not forced or academic. Third, keep a vocabulary journal where you record new phrases, idioms, or expressions you encounter in real contexts. Don't just write down definitions. Include example sentences that show how these phrases are actually used. Review this journal regularly and try to incorporate new expressions into your own speech. Fourth, be patient and kind with yourself. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Some days you'll feel like you're making tremendous progress, and other days might feel more challenging. Both experiences are completely normal and part of the learning process. Finally, remember that every native speaker you encounter was once learning their first words too. We all started somewhere, and most people are incredibly patient and supportive when they see someone making the effort to communicate. Your English journey is unique, valuable, and worth celebrating every single day. Beautiful English learners, we've covered so much ground together today. From navigating cafe conversations and workplace interactions to handling travel situations and building confidence through authentic practice, you now have a toolkit of real-world strategies that will serve you well in countless future conversations. But here's the thing. Knowledge without action remains just potential. I want you to take one specific step today, right now, before you move on to your next activity. Choose one scenario we discussed that resonates most with your current life situation. Maybe it's ordering food confidently, making small talk with colleagues, or asking for directions while traveling. Take that scenario and practice it out loud. Yes, right now. Stand in front of a mirror, imagine yourself in that situation, and have the conversation. Practice both sides, what you would say, and how others might respond. This kind of active rehearsal transforms theoretical knowledge into practical skill. I also want to invite you to join our amazing EnglishOmy community. Subscribe to our channel for more real-world English practice sessions. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest episodes. Share this episode with a friend who's also on their English learning journey. Learning together makes the process more enjoyable and effective. Most importantly, I want you to promise me something. Promise that you'll be brave enough to use your English in real situations. Don't wait until you feel ready. You're ready right now. Every conversation is an opportunity to grow. Every mistake is a stepping stone to fluency, and every small victory brings you closer to your goals. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Until next time, keep practicing, keep growing, and remember, I believe in you. This is Omi from EnglishOmy, signing off. See you in the next episode.
Thanks for spending time with me on EnglishOmy today. Remember, small steps every day lead to big progress. If you like this episode, follow the podcast and share it with a friend.